Good evening, Fernwood is your television appreciating friend Neil here, and it is time for us to appreciate some television together. And by television, I'm referring specifically to Mary Hartman, and even more specifically to June 11th, 1976's episode. It's a Friday, so let's do our recap because, for all we know, some big bombs are going to go off that it might be helpful for you to know about. It starts with Loretta making many, many trees for the Universal Mission Church. I believe that's the name of it, although I'm still a little bit confused. She has pledged to make 3,000 bicentennial Christmas trees for their November season. Of course, we haven't even hit the bicentennial, so we're still quite ahead of, we're about a month ahead of the bicentennial, so we have many, many months to make these 3,000 trees. She gets a visit from Merle Jeters, who prays with her a bit about things going on, but also seems to be putting on kind of a slimy, I'm attracted to this woman energy, and really, while she's praying, takes some time to check her out. It was gross. Speaking of gross, Dennis Foley woke up at the Hartman residence after sleeping on their couch. Kathy comes over and is really not bothered by it at all. She catches up Dennis and Mary on the things going on in her life at the television station with Clete Meisenheimer, who she writes off as having the hots for her, but she's not interested because we know that she is very much into Father DeMarco. Kathy also lets Mary know that Kathy signed her up for a contest at the station to see who's the most typical consumer housewife. Mary seems very flattered and excited by this, but also writes it off because she never wins anything. The next scene is really some hard love between Grandpa Larkin and Tom. Tom has been in a really deep depression since breaking up with Mary, or since separating from Mary, and Grandpa Larkin does not like seeing Tom just sitting around the house drinking. He thinks that Tom is boring this way. Of course, Tom has some meaning in his life that he is trying to explore. I'm hoping that he will find something positive to get him moving forward, because watching him drunk in every scene for the last couple of weeks has been really, really devastating to me. And finally, we get a visit from Howard McCullough to Mary Hartman, who really, he wants to clear the air for not coming out to Mary sooner. Ed McCullough came out just last episode for both of them, and Mary at first was very uncomfortable. I think she still doesn't really understand what it means to be gay. 1976, I wouldn't expect her to, but she does seem to be welcoming and warmly accepting of Howard, and that means very, very much, I think, from this perspective. But in 1976, I think that was completely unheard of. Of course, Howard still has to process this idea of coming out. He's still very uncomfortable with it, but I think hearing a welcoming, loving voice, a good friend to just accept you, was something that's a step in the right direction for Howard. So we shall see what will happen again on this June 11th, 1976 episode. I think it's time to start.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman! Well, you are certainly in a touchy mood.
I'm not in a touchy mood.
Grousing all around the den.
You cannot grouse around a room. To grouse means to talk, and I haven't said a damn thing.
There you see? Touchy. Is it your new job?
No, that's fine.
I didn't think it was your job. Bad conditions at work are not in your chart for today.
Then what'd you ask for?
Because I was afraid if I said what I really saw, you'd say I was leading.
What'd you see?
Well, you have a transit in your 7th house with Uranus conjunct Saturn.
Translate.
7th house, long-term relationships. Uranus, the offbeat, unexpected, exotic, you know.
Me and Ed. What about Saturn?
Opposition and difficulties.
No kidding.
And all of this is square to your Moon-Venus conjunction, which, of course, is your love life and your very sensitive nature.
I don't have a sensitive nature.
Of course you do. It's in your chart.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Besides, every time you have an astrological traffic jam like this, it is always preceded by some kind of a big blow-up with Ed. Now, why don't you tell me what happened?
Because it's private, Mother.
Does he still want a wedding?
No, he doesn't want a wedding. He wants us to get married. There's a difference.
Well, I am sorry if I do not understand the finer points of your lifestyle.
Well, let's not argue, Mother.
I just didn't know I was bothering you so much by being concerned.
Mother, you're not bothering me, and I appreciate very much your acceptance of all the things that have happened to me in my life, but...
Ed or Tom?
Ed.
You're probably right. He didn't stumble over anything.
Hi. So what are you guys talking about?
Us. Mother, do you mind if we talk alone?
Of course not. I'll see to the casserole.
What's the problem?
Sit down.
I don't want to sit down.
Well, half the problem is out in the open. Talk to Mary.
Well, if half the problem's out in the open, it's a lot easier then.
Ed, look, we're not crusaders. We don't have to prove anything to anybody.
I'm not talking about proving anything. I'm talking about marrying you.
Well, marriage does not need a piece of paper to bless it.
All right, then let's do it without a piece of paper. Just for us.
Here, drink this.
What is it?
It's a drink. You're over 18 and you look like you could use it.
Oh, it's bitter.
Stopped your crying?
Yeah.
All right, now tell me what's wrong.
Well, it's Clete Meisenheimer. Is this scotch?
Bourbon. I thought you liked him.
I do, but I'm not interested in him. And he's always all over me like a tent.
Well, then you just tell him to stop, that's all.
I can't. I'm going out with him.
Then, Kathy, don't go out with him.
No, I have to. You see, it'll help me further my career. And, boy, I know that's immoral.
Do you, just go out with him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's totally platonic on my part.
Then it's not immoral.
I don't know, and I don't know if this matters, but, well, with what happened today, I'm sure that he's gonna lose his job, too.
What happened?
I couldn't even read the satellite map. It looked like my chest x-rays.
I saw it. I thought you were cute and even got the temperature right.
Oh, you've got to be kidding. I wasn't a weather girl. I was a disaster area, a one-person disaster.
That's not what Clete said.
He didn't?
No, I spoke to him. He said that Channel 6 got more calls after your appearance
yeah,
than...
sure.
No, than they did when they showed that program on gun control.
They all hated me.
They thought you were adorable, funny, and a terrific improvement over Dr. Heinz Beckerman and all his millibars.
No, I know. I remember seeing all those people standing backstage just staring at me. They all hated me.
Is that what they said?
I didn't stick around to hear what they said. I ran out of there so fast, and I don't think I want to go back.
They loved you.
You're just saying that.
Clete told me. He spoke to the director and the producer, and they both thought you were refreshing and funny, and God knows that's what the news could do with.
What?
A little humor. And I mean that literally.
You know, you're so intelligent.
Me?
Yes, you have this philosophical overview of things.
Overview?
Yes, I heard that on the editorial section today.
Kathy, will you go back and stick with the job?
I don't think so.
Why not? I have the faith you can do it. I saw your potential the first day I met you.
Really?
Yes, your potential to make something of your life.
Well, what else?
Well, a confused but very pretty girl who was underrating herself and who was looking for something to fill a void in her life.
I think I found it.
That's good. That's good, Kathy. I'm glad, because if you stick with something, even though there are setbacks in the beginning, eventually you'll succeed.
I'm not talking about the job.
What are you talking about?
You.
Mean what?
I know it's wrong, and I know it's not supposed to happen, and I didn't want it to happen, but it did.
What?
I'm in love with you. I said it there, and I'm happy I said it.
You're right. You're right.
I am?
It's wrong, Kathy. Now look, you must put it out of your mind.
I know. I know it's not like asking some guy to give up his job just because it's keeping us apart. I mean, not unless a guy is really interested.
No. It's not like that at all.
But it's not my mind I'm listening to. It's my heart.
Kathy, how many times have you been in love this year?
A few times, but this is different.
I'll grant you that.
Listen, I know that you don't know how I feel.
It's what you think you feel. You're in love with love. It's a reflex action with some people, and you're on the rebound.
I'm always on the rebound. But this is different.
Kathy, look, we can be friends. I'd like to be your friend. Really, I would. But I can't take it any more seriously than that. And you've got to respect my position.
I do respect it.
You do? You're sure? Good. Finish your drink.
I don't think I want any more.
Well, it's just a shame, that's all.
It's like he's heading right down the tubes.
I'll tell you, it's more than a shame, it's a crime.
Like, I felt like a beer after the plant today. And I stopped in at the Capri Lounge, and there's Tom just sloshing him down. It was embarrassing, you know, I mean, he was embarrassed. He tried to make out like he was waiting on Fatty Kirkle for a game of pool, but Fatty Kirkle's been sick for a week. He's just drinking.
I'll tell you, it's the devil's own work, Charlie. You know, I mean, a beer or two is okay, or a little bit of sangria or something at a party, you know, that's all right. But it's getting drunk to drown your sorrows. It's wrong. I really ought to do some extra praying for him. You know, maybe there's a special hymnal or something for drunks.
You think? I don't think just singing a hymn was going to do it, honey.
Maybe I could get him to talk to the Reverend Jimmy Joe.
I don't know, honey. He wouldn't even talk to me, and I didn't mention salvation once. Yeah, I'll get it. Hello?
Mr. Haggard?
Yeah, it's me. Who's this?
It's Merle Jeter. Listen, I was wondering if I could talk to your little woman for a minute.
Yeah, sure. It's for you, honey.
Oh, is it Merle?
How'd you guess?
'Cause the smile on your face. Hi, Merle.
Hi, Loretta. How you doing?
Just fine, thank you. What can I do for you?
Well, listen, I don't want to scare you or anything, but
Something's wrong, isn't it?
yeah, it's little Jimmy Joe.
He didn't get took by the angels, did he? Oh, thank the Lord.
No, but he has come down with a case of that doggone flu they got going on around here.
Poor little old thing.
Yeah, well, he's been mighty stout about it, you know him. But listen, what I wanted to ask you, now, I may be totally out of line, I don't know, but I was just wondering if you could come on over here and maybe kind of stand in for his mama who's gone to heaven.
I surely could, hon.
What?
Does he have a fever?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he has a little bit of one, but I can't be real sure about that because I don't have a thermometer, see, and I can't leave him to go out and get one.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I will go by the thrifty drugstore and pick one up before I come, okay?
Well, aren't you kind?
You know what else? I will bring some of Mama's poultices and some home remedies with me.
I'm coming with you.
Honey, it's all right. You don't need to.
How's that?
I just get my jacket.
It's nothing, Merle. Listen, I'll see you there in a minute, okay? Bye. Honey, what are you doing?
Whither thou goest, I will go too.
Charlie, honey, all I'm gonna do is nurse back to health a poor little old sick 8-year-old boy.
With a poor little old healthy 35-year-old daddy. Now, you coming or not?
Charlie, honey, don't tell me that she's jealous.
I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. I wouldn't want. I just wouldn't want the little reverend to sneeze in the middle of a sermon.
All right.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna call Merle up and tell him that we're both coming.
Yeah, is that necessary?
No, but it's polite. Hello, Merle. Hi, it's Loretta again. Listen, Charlie and me is both gonna come over, and we'll stop by the What? Fabulous. That is fabulous. Great. Okay, bye. Little Jimmy Joe's fever just broke, so we ain't needed. I guess he just up and healed himself.
I just want to know what happened. Ed seems so preoccupied.
Nothing happened.
Hi-yo, everybody. I brought him a six-pack. Anybody want a little beer?
No, thanks. Tom.
No, thank you.
Huh? Schlitz?
Ed, what is going on with you?
Nothing.
Something Howard said?
It's me, isn't it? You don't like Schlitz, then I'm getting in the way.
Schlitz is fine, Tom.
Big cans?
No, thank you.
I just want to know what happened.
It's probably my fault. I barged in.
Oh, it's not your fault, Tom. It's Mary, isn't it?
Mary?
No, it is not Mary.
Leaving beer cans all around.
And it's not the beer cans.
Why did you say Mary?
Look, if there is one thing this household is not going to have, it is bickering.
Yeah, I think maybe I've overstayed my welcome. Three's a crowd.
Tom, there are 4 of us.
Oh, well, okay. 4's a crowd.
You know, it's really been such a wonderful week. I mean, you know, the picnic and the walks and the talks and just everything. I mean, I just feel like I'm an ad, you know, from Cosmopolitan on how to be happy. And Heather's been so happy. I mean, Heather is not a happy child, but she's really been happy. Except for one thing.
You feel guilty.
No. Why should I feel guilty?
You shouldn't.
Yeah, I know, but I do. Well, just a little, though. A little, you know, around the edges.
Don't.
No? I just feel so, unfaithful.
You won't be unfaithful to me.
I'm sure.
Of what, us?
I don't know, you know, us and our whole relationship, and you know, it's so special, and you're so
Special?
Has something changed?
Nothing's changed.
Well, because I remember you story
You remember what?
about getting, you know, married. You just never bring that up anymore. And I'm just embarrassed to talk about it. That's all.
Anymore? What do you mean anymore?
Well, you used to talk about it. I mean, now that, you know, I'm not with Tom anymore. I mean, I'd probably be thinking of getting married. I mean, I do think I'm the type of person that should be married.
And I seem like the married type?
Yeah, well, you were engaged to Kathy.
Well, I was engaged to Kathy because I wanted to be closer to you. But I never had any intention of marrying Kathy.
You didn't?
No.
You had no intention of marrying her?
No.
Well, like after Tom and I, we'll probably be getting a divorce. I don't know if I mentioned it to you, and I just was wondering, how you were feeling about it.
You mentioned it to me.
Oh, I did mention it to you. Well, how are you feeling about getting married in general?
In general?
Yeah.
In general, I'd rather not get married. I love you.
No, what I started to tell you is that Tom and I are probably gonna, get a divorce and everything. I'll be free then, I'll be... What?
Well, we
But
have
what?
a future. We have a future. I don't know that it includes marriage. I care.
Well, it would just seem like the next logical step to me, that's all. Doesn't it seem like a logical step to you?
Except that nothing about us has been logical.
But what?
I didn't say but.
Oh, there's the door.
I'll turn the radio down.
Okay.
Oh, Mary. Mary, I've just got to talk to you. I mean, if it isn't inconvenient. I don't want to trouble you.
No, it's okay. What's the matter?
It's Ed. He's moved out.
Ed, you're kidding.
No. And I just have to know if Howard caused any trouble when he came over to see you earlier.
Howard? No, nothing.
Well, you see, it all started when Howard and Ed had this terrible fight, which I thought could be about you.
About me? Why?
Well, surely you must know how Howard feels about you.
Howard feels about me?
Yes.
About Ed?
No.
About Ed?
No. Mary.
Ed!
Shh.
Ed!
Please, Mary.
Come on, Tom, get a grip on yourself.
I got a grip
You're a
on
mess.
myself. I'm not a mess. I got myself another job.
Yeah, you'll drink your way out of it. I thought you told me you quit the stuff.
Hey, Ed, you're the one who said, come on, let's go have another beer.
I said, let's go bowl a few frames, talk out your problems, get rid of your problems.
You mean Mary?
Well, whatever your problems are, you're the one that said beer.
Well, how the hell can you bowl without a glass of beer?
You bowl with a glass of beer, you get it all over the alley in your shoes.
You know what you sound like? You sound just like Mary, always wanting me to do the right thing.
So what's wrong with that? If your best buddy can't tell you you're a jerk, who can?
Hey, does my breath smell?
Hmm?
No, I mean, if your best friend can't tell you...
Look, I'm talking about you getting soused just when you were pulling yourself together.
I'm not getting soused, for God's sakes. Jesus. I wonder what she's doing now.
Probably wondering what you're doing now.
Nah. She's probably with Dennis Foley. Do you know that my tax dollars are paying for the breakup of my own marriage? Let's have another beer.
Let's bowl.
You know you sound like...
Yeah, Mary.
No. Shorty Decker, whose real name was Willard. What the hell else could you call him, huh? Anyway, we were in high school, He was a second baseman on a high school baseball team. I was a shortstop. We were a hell of a double play combination. We were best buddies, And me and Sharon McFarland, when we broke up, this was a girl I dated before I met Mary, see? When we broke up, he kept telling me not to be a jerk about it.
Did you listen to him?
Nah. I punched him right in the mouth. Loosened a couple of teeth, and then, he started dating Sharon McFarland.
seeds are planted at this point, and it starts with a conversation that I'm excited to see play out, except that it clearly, by the end of the episode, seems like some painful stuff is happening. And that first conversation to me is the marriage of Ed and Howard McCullough. Whether it can happen. It seems like Ed is saying no. I don't know that I verbally heard that. Probably happened off screen, but to me, the declaration of wanting to commit to someone is so important, and not just the commitment emotionally, but beyond that. I think that I don't really understand marriage, but for someone to want it with someone else, I imagine that if it's worth it, even especially in a world where there's no legal ramifications to being married, it must be important to want it and ask for it. So I will presume that Ed said no, or rather, I will presume that Howard said no, although we don't see it on stage or on screen. Then we get a confession of love from Kathy to Father DeMarco. And also, before that, her talking about how Clete Meisenheimer has been moving in on her. And maybe in modern day, the advice that Father DeMarco might give to Kathy would be a little less accept it and keep working for that goal. I appreciate Father DeMarco's encouragement of Kathy in a life direction that he thinks or he feels she might be good at. I appreciate the encouragement, at least. I don't know that I would simply accept the harassment that she has been receiving. And that's maybe a conversation that wouldn't happen in the 1970s. It certainly is happening today, but I don't know how it's going to play out in the show. Then we get a little bit more Merle Jeter's skeeviness. I saw that single hotel room, or not single, but I saw the hotel room that Merle was sitting in and didn't see any sign of Jimmy Joe, and really understood that Merle wanted Loretta in his hotel room with no one else to watch. And that is, I will assume it's gross, because I think that Merle is gross. We can't say exactly where things would have gone, but I am very suspicious of that man. And I think Charlie is right in being jealous, even though he denies being jealous. We get a brief scenelet to see where Tom is. He's clearly not doing well. Regular commenter Ken Givens was very curious to see what Tom's reaction to finding out that Ed and Howard are gay lovers. And I think we may be getting closer to that based on the tiny mini scene that we saw there, because we came into a very personal discussion with Tom very drunk. I don't know how that will go. I think based on a couple episodes ago, Mary seemed to think that Tom would be, and this wasn't stated, it was something that was sort of a subtext piece that I picked up from watching. She seemed to think that Tom would be very uncomfortable with that news. Of course, she was uncomfortable with that. I'm sure that Tom might be uncomfortable with it, even though he has verbally said that it's okay to be gay. But, you know, just saying something out loud and really feeling it are not necessarily the same. And then we have that romantic interchange between Mary and Dennis. And by that I mean partner dancing, which I miss so much. I haven't danced with another human being in over a year, and things are changing, so I'm hopeful. But just to watch that was nice, even though I don't like Dennis at all. And in that scene, we see some difference of an important relationship difference between Dennis and Mary. And I think Mary still has so much to address with Tom. I don't think that it's going to happen very soon because we can see they're on very divergent paths, but Mary thinks that marriage is important, and I believe that that's something that's been very clear since episode 1, that being married, the state of being married, is something that is a definitive role for Mary. And I think this episode looks to marriage and looks to relationships in that way. So for Ed to ask Howard to get married, I think that's very important as a statement about what their relationship means. But I think for Mary, her need to be married is different than her need to have someone connected to her. I think that she sees herself as a wife. And maybe that's a difference between the McCulloughs and Mary Hartman and Dennis. Of course, there's also the difference that Dennis doesn't want to be married. He admits, and I believe this is sincere, that he loves Mary, even though I don't know that he is good enough for her in my mind. I don't know that anyone's good enough for her, but she's got plenty of mess going on. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I think he could be paying attention to the things that are important to her, and he's not. So that may be just a little splinter in their relationship, but there's so much going on with them and Tom, and I don't know how to sort that all out. So I think it may take more time than the few minutes that I will spend with you to resolve these issues. And then finally, more tough love between, this time, Ed McCullough and Tom. Tom continues to drink. And again, it's not that drinking is bad in and of itself, but it's clear that Tom is trying to numb pain. And that's bad news. I have no experience with this other than pop culture or seeing people's lives, but I'm usually distant from that. I'm not that close to people. So there we go. I just feel like it's bad to be numbing your pain. Sometimes you got to feel the pain, and then you work through the pain, and then when it maybe doesn't hurt as much, you continue working. Maybe I should take some advice from myself. I don't know what it means. So let me thank you again for spending some time with me, talking out some emotional stuff that we are both taking in together. I appreciate you, and thank you so much, and we will see you next week in Fernwood.